I rise to support my honourable friend Foslaw and to commend him for securing this debate. He and the honourable gentleman for Brighton rightly criticised the effort by the current Secretary of State to get the rules on development assistance changed. It seeks to undermine rules that have forced governments across the world, including our own, to be held to account quite rightly for the amount of development assistance we give to the poorest people around the world. It was good to hear the Right Honourable Gentleman for Sutton Coldfield making a similar point. I take credit for much of the success that he had as Secretary of State, in that I schooled him while he was in training as the opposition Shadow Secretary of State. I think there are three compelling arguments, both for Britain to stick to its 0.7% level of funding for international development assistance and for retaining the Department for International Development. There is a moral argument, I think. We are one of the richest nations of the world, and surely we have a responsibility to help those in other countries who, through no fault of their own, are living in terrible circumstances. It is surely also in our country's interest that we try to support countries around the world to become stable, so that their populations do not have to flee either to ours or to neighbours, that we help them to become stable so that their economies can grow and that they can have strong public services of the sort that we would recognise. Given that conflict is much more likely to break out in a country where there has been recent conflict, if we want and continue to want to reduce the amount that we spend collectively globally on peacekeeping, then putting in the hard yards in terms of providing development assistance to help those countries get strong, effective governments that are respected by people of all opinions in those countries is surely a sensible thing. And then the third argument is around soft power, which others have mentioned already. Britain, because of its huge commitment to international development, is highly regarded at the United Nations. It was always highly regarded in the European Union and highly regarded in a whole series of other international meetings because of the work that was done on development assistance and the knowledge that all in government were committed to maintaining and enhancing the role of the Department for International Development and the aid budget. The arguments against the 0.7% are arguments that are being made once again now predominantly by people from the right of the political discourse. That charities know best. Well, I have a lot of respect for particularly Britain's charities, and they do make a considerable difference in the areas in which they are able to operate. But there is no other global player that can operate at the level that is needed to transform countries than the aid that is provided by the Department for International Development in helping to build up the effectiveness of government itself in the poorest countries. So charity has a role to play. It has a demonstrative role in particular, and it certainly plays a particularly useful role at times like the tsunami and other humanitarian crises. But we need to build up governments in other countries. Corruption, absolutely a risk, but if we use our aid money effectively, we help to strengthen the systems that stop corruption from continuing to be a problem. Charity should begin at home. Well, I mean, every member of the House can talk of examples in their constituency where further government funding is required, and I hope we will see a change in direction with a new government in place so that more resources can be made available to all of us. But I make the general point again, we are one of the richest nations in the world, and we should be able to provide development assistance further. The idea that the FCO is somehow diminished by the effectiveness of the Department for International Development, I just don't buy. They do different roles, they complement each other. We want a strong foreign office, but that will not be ended by an effective Department for International Development. I hope we will see the Secretary of State change the language that she deploys and that the Department's future can be guaranteed going forward.